Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production Channel, your YouTube. Welcome to another edition of Album of the Week. And this, of course, is episode number 16. So, for this week's Spotlight, since Valentine's Day is on Wednesday here, which of course is the 14th, of course, which is, well, in this week, might as well spotlight an album by a band. And what better band that kind of fits the whole Valentine's Day thing, you know, about love and everything? Well, none other than the Scorpions. I was thinking about so many different bands, like listening to quite a few albums, but the thing is, no other band has probably written love songs or whatever, even in a rocking mood, better than the Scorpions. It's like, even when it comes to some of the heavier stuff, there's always a bit of love theme here and there. But the album I decided to pick is not one of their more heavier albums or their more slightly darker albums, which, of course, if you want their darker material, well, look no further than their 70s material with definitely like Uli Jon Roth. But no, I'm deciding to spotlight Return to Forever, which of course was right now their last album, and it was released back in 2015, which it was definitely a good album. I definitely liked this album. Yeah, you could say it was a mixed bag, but the thing is, what made it a bit of a mixed bag is the fact that a lot of the riffs here and everything was actually recorded a lot of prior. They basically took a lot of old ideas that they almost had in mind for some of their past albums, but basically decided to put at least some ideas around them, find whatever coming for this album, and pretty much, well, finished them. And so in a way, these are almost unreleased songs, if anything, but because of that, the sound and everything kind of distanced. But the thing is, since it's the Scorpions, I think they do manage a balance between the sort of, well, whatever issues are there, they balance everything out and do it the way that I've always liked Scorpions and everything. So, the way that they do things. Not every album that they put out has been at least good or great. Not everything's going to be great. Not everything's going to be, you know, Love Drive or In Trance. Not everything's going to be Virgin Killer. Not everything is going to be Taken by Force or even Blackout. But it's still, they still have a way of making at least enjoyable albums. To me, almost in the sense of Alice Cooper, but I think Alice Cooper has probably done better albums than Scorpions in a way in terms of when it comes like the experimentation. But that's not to say that Scorpions have done stuff that is completely god awful, though there are maybe one or two albums there that actually is, especially if you get into the late 80s stuff like mostly Savage Amusement, which is not really, I think of all the 80s output, and that was the last of their 80s output, that definitely was kind of garbage, but still not a bad album, but definitely anyways, I'm just babbling here. Return to Forever had some great songs on here. Going Out with a Bane, which is the kickoff track. We Built This House, which is not a bad song as well. Even Rock and Roll Band has some real good groove to it. Probably the heaviest song on this album is definitely Hard Rock in the Place, which really reminds you of something that could have been on like Love at First Sting or even Blackout to some extent. And probably the second best song, if you gotten the Japanese pressing, which I'll get into detail about why I have the Japanese pressing of Return to Forever. But if you got in the Japanese pressing, which by now, there's been now many different deluxe editions that include the 2 Japanese pressing songs. There's a song in here called Crazy Life, or Crazy Ride, excuse me. The song Crazy Ride is probably by far, even though the album is not good, or I think not good, but not great, but it still is a good album. But the song Crazy Ride might be one of the best songs Scorpions has actually written. It's, of course, pretty much it's them reminiscing their past, and I think the word Crazy Ride in some ways kind of summons up the whole entire career. If you definitely go back to the whole 70s with a lot of the controversy that came along with their album cover, especially like Virgin Killer, you can definitely tell that the band had definitely a crazy ride. With all the controversy, with all the band lineups, with all the touring, with all everything, especially even during the 90s, whatever, and they come all the way to like 2015 and where they are now. It's definitely, you can definitely say it was definitely a crazy ride. So, and of course the riffing to it kind of reminds me of classic Scorpions as well. Especially sounds like something that could have been on either like Animal Magnetism. And I think this album in some ways feels like a modern version of Animal Magnetism because of, though I have not really listened to the Sting of the Tail album, which is that, I think with the album before that, I know they had, Sting of the Tail. Anyways, moving on. I have not really heard that album, but again, I really dug Return to Forever. Now, as I mentioned, since I mentioned that how I was going to tell you how I got a hold of the Japanese pressing of Return to Forever is quite crazy in a way. And it is crazy. So I'm going to definitely kind of tell this story, and it might make this video a bit long in a way, especially for an album of the week kind of episode. But I definitely have to kind of share this story, how I got a hold of the Japanese pressing. And it comes, and it's more unexpected. So, when this album was up for order, definitely was already out for a little while at the time of 2015, which might have been around March, maybe. March, April, maybe, somewhere around there, May, one of those. I was interested in getting the album anyways, but when hearing about the deluxe edition of this album on Amazon, I ordered the deluxe edition, which had 4 additional tracks, okay? So, I ordered the deluxe edition, and I thought I was getting the deluxe edition of the album, the standard deluxe edition that's released, at the time in like UK and the US and so on. When the package arrived to my doorstep, I quickly take it in. I think it had to have been Prime. I think Amazon Prime. I ordered it, came to the door, took it inside, took it in my room, opened it up, and what I pull out was not the deluxe edition, but instead, it was the Japanese pressing. And I was really shocked. Normally, when you order something, you think you're getting that certain copy, you mostly end up getting brought with a disappointment. In this case, it's not disappointment. It's practically excitement. Never have I don't think there has never been any I don't think I've ever heard a whole lot of stories of where people ordered something and to what their surprise is something probably the most greatest accident to ever come. Something that what they thought they ordered, but they got something that was probably better than what they did. And that's how I kind of felt when I got the Japanese pressing of Return to Forever. Because Japanese pressings, they're not cheap, but they are not completely expensive. But because of that, they come over like overseas and everything, and how long it takes to get in to get instead a Japanese pressing is quite it's quite crazy, but it's actually quite badass. And I wish every time if I was ever to order something and it's not the copy that I wanted, but instead it's something that I'm even more surprised by what it is and probably more happy to get in return. It's like I wish it was always a Japanese pressing, because Japanese pressings, if anyone, whoever ordered a copy and returned to Forever and instead ended up getting not the deluxe edition but a Japanese pressing, do not feel bad at all. Do not feel like you got ripped off. Japanese pressings are some of the top of the line pressings you'll ever get. And what really made me happy is the fact that usually with Japanese pressings, especially these days for like new releases, there'll usually be a track or two on there that would not be, you will never get on the copy that would be released in your state, and being the United States or Canada or Britain or some of those places, or Germany. You probably wouldn't get a track. The track that's on the Japanese pressing would not be on the regular copy. So in a way, well, in Japan, this will be considered a regular copy. But for someone who doesn't live in Japan, it's definitely a special copy for sure. And if anything, I think I might like the Japanese version better than the regular copy anyway, because I think the two songs, in a way, are a better way to end the album than what you'd get on the regular. Because it's 4 tracks, there might be a song in there or two that's probably going to be kind of worthless. But in here, not really. I think the Japanese people do know how to sell their albums and what to put on their albums and so on. So that with Crazy Ride and 1 and 1 is 3, I think, is what the track is as well. Yeah, 1 and 1 is 3. But still, it was just a crazy moment, and I was not asking for the Japanese pressing, but instead I ended up getting it. And if anything, it's pretty much the greatest accident to ever end. I don't think it will ever happen a whole lot. It's so rare to have something like that happen that it's usually special. So, all right, I pretty much babbled on for quite a bit. Anyways, definitely I would say it was a good album from Scorpions. Not the best album that they've ever released, but it's good enough to spotlight. And for Valentine's Day, well, I think it's a good spotlight. Anyways, this is Heavy Thrasher Sam out. If you have, I know everyone does know about this album. Anyways, this is Heavy Thrasher Sam out. And I'll see you later. Take care.